didn't want to be a comedian, and I didn't want to be a police officer either. I didn't want to be either one of those two. I happened to fill out an application at this job fair for a police department. I had just moved to Los Angeles from New York, and I needed a job. So, you fill out every application you get. Well, sure enough, the fire department and the police department took my applications, and lo and behold, I get hired as a police officer. I'm going through the academy and blah, 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 and I get on the job, yada, yada. And, so I still didn't want to be a police officer, but I'm a police officer. So, you're doing your job and all sorts of things. And one day I'm hanging out with a buddy of mine, a guy named Glenn Thomas, and he was a musician. And he used to go hang out at comedy clubs. So I went with him one night, and we went to the Improv in Melrose. And everybody who went up to me wasn't funny. I just didn't think anybody was funny. He cracking up. He on the floor, blah, blah, blah. So we start talking about who's funny, what's funny, how you be funny, blah, blah, blah. And so he dared me to go up on stage. So I said, yeah, I'll do that. So the next week I had to do 5 minutes, had to write 5 minutes. So I wrote 5 minutes material. The next week we go back, I put my name in the hat, and they pull out my hat, my name like fifth. So it was a really good crowd. I go on stage, and like I said, you had to do 5 minutes. And I think out of the 5 minutes, I remembered 3, because 5 minutes is a long time when you're first starting out. But I'm telling my jokes, I'm telling a couple of police jokes. Well, the audience goes crazy. They're laughing hard, and I go, oh my God. And it felt so good. It like hit me in the heart. It felt so good. I go, you know what? This is what I should be doing. And I'm talking to my buddy Glenn, and we're talking all night about, oh man, I told that one joke. Oh, and I forgot this one joke, and blah, 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 blah. But every week then I'd come back to the Improv and other comedy clubs, and I would do it over and over and over, 5 minutes, whatever it allows, 6 minutes, clubs all over Los Angeles, right? So one day I'm doing a show at the Playboy Club in Century City in LA. Well, Century City happened to be my patrol area as well. So I do the show. I'm running late for roll call, running late to the station. I get my car, I'm speeding, and I get pulled over. I get pulled over by my own brothers and police officers from the station. Well, they get out the car. I get out the car. They recognize, say, wait, they recognize it's me. And they go, where are you coming from? What are you speeding for? So I tell them, I said, listen, I was just doing a comedy show at the Playboy Club. I'm late for roll call. I got to go. They say, all right, well, go. Well, that story climbs the chain of command, right? Gets all the way up to my lieutenant. And he calls me in the office and he says, listen, are you got a second job? I go, no. He goes, what about this comedy stuff? How about this comedy stuff you're doing? Hang on. Let me turn my phone off. He says, what about this comedy stuff you're doing at the Playboy Club? So I say, well, that's not a second job. I'm not getting paid for it. I'm not making any money. So he goes, well, you know what? What's going to happen one day if you pull over somebody and they saw your show? Well, I said, well, if he thought I was funny, I'd just let him go. But if he didn't, I'd write him a ticket. Well, yeah, well, that joke landed like a lead balloon. My lieutenant didn't like that. So he goes, listen, I can't tell you not to do it, but I can highly suggest to you that you don't do it. Well, all I really heard was, don't get caught. That's what I was hearing. Right. So now I'm still doing comedy. I'm doing it underground places, just keeping my mouth shut about where I'm going and what I'm doing. Well, one day I go back to the Playboy Club, and I just go back just to watch the show. And the woman who ran the place, I think her name was like Candy Kane. She was an old ex-Playboy bunny with big bazungas and, so she says to me, hey, are you in trouble? Because she knew I was a cop. And she says, are you in trouble at your job? I go, I don't think so. And she goes, I said, why do you ask? She goes, well, there was some undercover cops in here looking for you. I go, how you know they were undercover? She goes, I was married to a cop. Cops come in here all the time. I know when undercover cops come in. She goes, they were asking about you and they're being very specific and blah, blah, blah. I want to know where you would do and what you talk about. I say, wow, my own department trying to backstab me and sent undercover cops looking for me. I said, wow, ain't that something? So But I keep doing comedy. I just keep a low profile. So about a couple of months later, we're having a Christmas party for the police station. And my sergeant says to me, "Hey, Jordan, you still do that comedy stuff?" I go, "No, I gave that up." He goes, "Yeah, because we could use you for the Christmas show." So I go, "Oh, great. I'll put something together for you." So now I'm excited again because I figure if they see me, they'll change their minds about me, right? So the Christmas party comes in, and again, big crowd. Now, at that time, I was working West LA. Now, West LA is probably the most expensive division in all of Los Angeles outside of Beverly Hills because it has
Oh,
Brentwood, it has Malibu, it has the Palisades, it has all those ritzy areas, Bel Air, all those areas. Right, that's my division. So a lot of mucky mucks at this Christmas party. Matter of fact, the chief of police is at the Christmas party. So they introduced me, and I go up and I do like 15 minutes of material about being a police officer. The place goes crazy. They're loving it. All the officers are loving it. All the supervisors hate it. Because I'm just making jokes about the department and blah, blah, blah. And here's this young kid. He only been on the job a year. He's saying all this crazy stuff. So okay. So people are, "Oh, Jordan, oh, you have a career waiting for you in comedy, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada." So a couple of days later, I'm out on patrol. I get a call on my radio. "Hey, Jordan, come back to the station. You have a phone call." Because this is before cell phones and all that. So I said, "Wow, really? Okay, who could be calling me?" So I get to the station, and it's on the other line. It's a guy named Deputy Chief Wyndham. He's number 2 command in LAPD at that time. And he's on the other line. And he says to me, "I just want to let you know that me and Chief Gates thought that your performance the other night was the worst thing we've ever seen. It wasn't funny. It wasn't this, blah, blah, blah." He just goes on and on. And he said, "If you don't like being a policeman, then get the blank out of here," and blah, 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 yada, yada. I was like, wow, holy man. so, yeah. So after that, I was like, you know what? Maybe I just need to start looking other places and think about doing other things. But I kept doing the policeman. I kept being a comedian. Just like I said, I would do it on the side and keep my mouth shut. And I didn't. And then I was at a comedy club called the Ice House in Pasadena, and the owner saw me perform there, and he says to me, he goes, "You're funny enough. 6 months, you won't even need that police department. You can quit and be a full-time comedian." I go, "Really?" I go, "Wow, okay." So he books me at 2 clubs, one in Houston, one in Indianapolis, 4-week run. And so I had to take I took a leave of absence from the police department. And back then, this is when comedy was like, we were like rock stars, man. Comedians were just, that was the next big wave of entertainment. Everybody loved comedians, and you could do no wrong. So I do 2 weeks in Houston, kill it. It's a lot of fun, have a blast. I do 2 weeks in Indianapolis. That's even better than Houston. I come back to LA, and I'm on patrol one day with my partner, and he says to me, how was that trip?" I go, "Oh man," I tell him, "I'm excited." And I said, "You know what? I'm thinking about quitting." And he says to me, "Well, you can't quit because you just bought a house, you just bought a new car, you stuck here like the rest of us." And when he said that, that was the switch that threw me, that said, "You know what? I don't want to ever feel like I'm stuck somewhere, or I don't want to feel like I have to be somewhere. I want to, you want to follow your heart and give this thing a try." So about a year and a half later after that, I quit and I just chased comedy full time. That was it.
and it was a seamless transition. You didn't have to work another job after that. It's just boom.
No,
Yeah.
no. Well, like I said, back then there was enough road work and other stuff that you could keep and make a living. Um, it, and like I said, I had just bought a house. And my house note was my mortgage was only $700, so that was a godsend. Oh,
Whoa.
here's the best part. So when I quit the police department, all the money that I had put into my pension, they gave it back to me, and $15,000 too much. So, um, I got a letter in the mail saying, "Hey, we overpaid you. We need the 15 grand back." I go, "Yeah, that's that. They still waiting for that money." So, but yeah, it's the transition. You know, it was the trend to move over. Like I said, I started doing USO and touring the world with the USO, and back then there was a lot of work, and even the local gigs paid decent. You know, so like I don't know how these new comics do it now, where you got to pay to go up or all this other craziness, or you get $20, but you get it 5 weeks from now. So I don't know how they make a living. But back then, you could do pretty good.